Welcome everyone to our Wednesday afternoon or morning, depending on where you're at, mastermind session around attracting agents. We call it Attraction in Action. And every week, guys, I've made a commitment to you. I'm going to bring somebody that I perceive to be an icon of the industry. And today is absolutely no exception to that. In fact, we've got the president of North America with eXp. His name is Dave Conord. He's going to be just pouring into you guys today. You have an opportunity to unmute yourself, ask questions. In fact, if you choose to, you can go down to the reactions tab down in the lower third of your screen. Just go ahead and move your mouse down there. Everybody practice with me right now. Click on that reactions button. Now you're going to see a bar at the bottom that says raise hand. So you can raise your hand anytime you want. I promise we're going to get to your question today. We're going to give you an answer that will help you bridge any gaps that exist within your current strategy to help eXp grow. So I'm excited about that, you guys. And yes, play around with the reactions tab and all of that. And when you're ready and you have a question, please raise your hand. Before we dive in, though, I do want to give a little background about Dave Conord. And let me tell you my personal experience with this man. Guys, he cares deeply about each and every one of you and your success, your ability to provide for yourself one and your loved ones at the highest level possible. When I asked him if he'd be open-minded to engage in this, he jumped right on it. I'll tell you what, he's just so fired up to just add value to each and every one of you. So Dave Conord, welcome to our call, my friend.
Hey, Sean, how are you, brother?
I'm phenomenal, man. And I'm even better since you're here. I told the group that I woke up this morning, I was kind of like giddy, like a child, you know, just so excited to have you today to add value to all these people. So Dave, why don't you start off by just giving us the quick story? How'd you get into real estate? Where did you start? How did you grow that? And then what made you ultimately leave your previous brokerage to shift over here to eXp? And what was it that caused you to say, you know what, that makes absolute sense, I'm in? Take it away, Dave.
Got it. All right, good. And it's so good to see everybody. And so many familiar faces and friends out there. So hi to everybody. I'm getting some messages coming through. So hey guys, and thanks for the opportunity to come hang out with you. This is super fun for me. So this is the coolest part of what I get to do. You know, I get a lot of little individual one-off meetings or little corporate meetings and stuff. And so, you know, the opportunity just to hang out with our friends and chat is super fun. So grateful for that today. Yeah. So gosh, like most people, you know, I stumbled into real estate, right? There are some people that grew up like Sean, you've got a real estate family, real estate kingdom that you, have taken that opportunity and built on it and done some incredible things. So there are some people that you know maybe come across it that way, but most people, I think, in real estate, it ends up being an option. Some people do it just because there was nothing else. Some people do it because they find they have a passion for it, et cetera, and people stumble into it. A friend brings them into it or something like that. So I was an international business major in college. I got into during the telecommunications deregulation. I paired up with a couple of really brilliant engineers from Westinghouse who were doing some cool, innovative stuff. Think early days of VoIP and some satellite stuff and everything else. And you know, here I was in my early 20s, right out of college, and I got a job way over my head, helping to expand that company into foreign countries. We did mostly third world countries. I spent a lot of time in Africa, a lot of time in South America, and we were expanding there, and we would work in partnership with the governments in those countries, right? So the engineers were actually designing the infrastructure for telecommunications for like the country of Ghana. We did Venezuela and some other things like that. And but that was only part of the picture. We could get the telecom lines into those countries, but in order to get them out to the people in the country, we worked with entrepreneurs. We worked with independent contractors, right? Small business owners who were putting up call centers and that sort of thing. And that's, or even selling calling cards and that kind of stuff in their countries to get people connected to our services back to our switches that we owned in the US. So that was fascinating. I mean, it was so much fun. And I got a chance to really understand how business works at a large scale. I would go to, I remember being down in the city of Caracas. I was, 24 years old, sitting in the city of Caracas by myself, flying down there, to Venezuela, going into the city of Caracas, going into the government buildings in Caracas, sitting with the Minister of Telecommunications for Caracas and negotiating contracts and selling them on this, the structure and this opportunity. So talk about, way in over my head, but learning. I mean, so much learning out of that. And then dealing with these, I'd have somebody in Gambia, right? And they've got a family and they're trying to build this business in telecommunications. And I'm working at, somebody in Egypt, and we're talking about how they're structuring their business and putting together contracts for them to have a contract with the government, and how to structure the business and how to hire. I was teaching people how to hire employees and train their staff. So
Dave, let me pause just for a moment, because you put yourself in a position that you were way over your head. It forced you to really obtain the knowledge, the skills, how to do exactly that. Now, I want to connect that to eXp Agent Attraction.
Yeah.
See, many of you, you're sitting on the sidelines. You're watching the game being played in front of you rather than participating, because you're kind of in that position of saying, well, I want to wait until I know everything about the eXp model. And once I understand everything about the model, well, then I'll get into action around attraction. Guys,
yeah.
You don't need to know everything about electricity, how it's made, how it works, how it goes through the transformers, how it's upgraded, how it's downgraded, how it gets into your home at the correct voltage. You don't need to understand everything about that in order to turn on a light switch. And eXp is no different, as all you have to do is turn on the light switch. Simply ask somebody, have you actually sat down? Have you invested the time to learn about the eXp model as it relates to your production, your stock portfolio, your net income and net worth, and most importantly, your ability to create residual and passive income such that you can literally retire, if you choose to, in the next 5 years with a little bit of effort? Because I got to tell you, the finances, the economics, they're life changing. Have you taken the time?
Yeah.
You have to do.
And that's why, I go into, a lot of people ask, like, what, we want to hear your real estate story, right? And what I think is so important is most people have a whole life prior to being in real estate, right? And even if you've been in real estate for a while, if you have not been in the agent attraction side, you may be new to that component of it. And what I have found going through everything else that I've done all the way through is I am going back to the conversations that I had and the things that I learned in that time in my life, and understanding that, there's human needs, and there's the way that things work. There's a process. There's a way to communicate with people. There's a way to uncover the needs and to make connections so that you help people solve their problems. You help them get where they want to go. And what happened is, as I helped these entrepreneurs figure out how to structure these business to be successful, they had other friends and family who were entrepreneurs who they connected me with. And the reason we expanded that company around the world really, really fast, because of those connections that were created, because I helped someone be successful. I cared about, I didn't know any different other than to ask a lot of questions and figure it out.
Well, Dave, you're demonstrating something else that I want to bring to light. And I want to give you kind of a structure behind what Dave did and what he did within eXp. Is that, guys, he came from contribution. Am I right, Dave? I mean, you just focused on, well, what is your problem? How can I help you solve that problem? And as a direct result, you got in rapport, you created a relationship, and you leveraged that to create many other professional relationships in the process. So guys, when you come from contribution, when you're there to educate or help another agent, well, then they automatically trust you. And then you can leverage that trust to create a more professional relationship by getting them to transfer their license from wherever they're at right over to eXp. Guys, it's the right thing to do. Yeah. That's the bottom line. So Dave,
it's so important to have your mindset, to just check your mindset and say, when I think about revenue share, when I think about agent attraction, what comes to mind? What do I think of? And if you're thinking of anything, it's not that your thoughts are bad, but if you're thinking of anything, if your approach is anything other than who can I help? How can I help other people go achieve their goals and build a great life? If it's anything other than that, you won't get the highest level of results that you could get. And so sometimes we think of revenue share and we go, oh, revenue share is amazing. We can make so much money, and look at these people and how much they're making. And I want to get that too. And I need to get a bunch of people under me, and I need to do X, Y, and Z. And then we worry about, well, how are we going to do it? And if you just go, how do I help the most people achieve their goals, right? If that's your focus, then the rest comes together, right? And then people want to be with you. So I translated that into the real estate industry in sales. So still, I guess by the time I sold I was in sales for 3 years, selling houses. And by my third year, I was 27, and I sold today's equivalent of $120 million worth of houses. So it was, 130 houses, something like that. Today's equivalent of about 120 million at 27 years old in my third year in sales. So that was by doing the exact same thing. I had no idea what I was doing, except for I need to go help people. I need to ask good questions, find all the people that I can help, ask questions and help them. And when I did that, I got a ton of referrals, right? And everybody said, you have to work with this person. And someone said, hey, I heard what you did for them. I heard how you helped them. I heard how you were really focused on helping them get the most for their house. They're getting out of their house at the time they needed to because of their situation, or how to buy the right house, find the right house, do all the other things. Will you help me with that? So when I started opening up brokerages, and I was with Keller Williams for a long time, and I moved over into doing franchising and buying franchises, and started off, we had 14 agents launched in a brand new region. I owned kellerwho.com for 5 years because nobody ever heard of us. Back KW had about 10,000 agents back then. And literally there were no Keller Williams agents within hours, in any direction of us. And so, it became the same thing. It was just a matter of, and we were writing checks, right? When you have that franchise and you're paying for staff, you're paying to keep the lights on, you're paying for all the other expenses, that you're bleeding money every month, and you need producing agents to come in and be in partnership with you so that you can at least break even. And so it was, how do I go find agents that I can help them succeed, right? And what is it that they need? How do we help them be successful? And that was our focus. And we grew really fast, and we were able to, and then we had people from other areas say, we want what you have, but we can't drive all the way to your office. And we said, all right, we'll open another one, and we'll open another. So we had 11 franchises, right? And then I got pulled into being the CEO of a regional franchise. We had 42 offices across 3 states. We had 7,000 agents. We were the fastest growing region in the entire world for that company. We were the #1 company region in growth in the world for Keller Williams. So it's all on the same premise. It's all on the same focus and mindset and helping other people be successful. So fast forwarding, there was a time where I felt like the focus of that company had shifted. And again, my mindset being, I always refer to it as the Zig Ziglar mentality, right? To get what you want, you have to help enough other people get what they want. And that is what attracted me originally to that model, because I got to help a lot of people. When for me, it got bogged down and got focused on making money, which to me is the wrong focus personally. And so when that became the shift and became a requirement to have the ownership that I had and to be in the role that I was in, I left. So I actually had nowhere to go. I started selling all of my franchises, and I resigned from my corporate role, and I left. And I need to be somewhere where I get to be helping people be successful. And so I got into consulting because I could help people build businesses, and that was a lot of fun. And then the fateful day that Gene Frederick, who's been a friend of mine for a long time, and he reached out and said, I've got to introduce you to this guy named Glenn Sanford. He has created a model that solves the problem. He had also left the same company, right? He had also left KW at that time for a lot of the same reasons. And he said, I found it. I found the company that's going to change the industry in the same way that, KW did a lot of good things in changing the industry. And I found the next company that really, really addresses agent needs and pulls out a lot of the things that aren't needed. It's an incredible model. So when I saw the model, it made sense from 2 standpoints. Number one, first, foremost, and most importantly, I saw this being the model where agents can build incredible businesses and lives. It's just an incredible platform for agents to succeed. Now, this was early. RevShare was not as big as it is now, right? Back then, everyone says, oh, I wish I got in early. You do not wish you got in early, right? That was the bleeding edge, right? We didn't have any of the stuff that we have now that makes us even more attractive to agents. We just had the promise of this incredible model. But the model made so much sense in what it could provide for agents both in their real estate sales business and building that business and serving their clients, but in all of the other ways that they make money. I had been in my office with agents during the downturn, right? I was in from, owning brokerages and running brokers from 2002 all the way through. So we went through the ups and the downs. I had agents in my office crying because they were losing their house. They were having to move and pull their kids out of their school away from their friends. I mean, all of the different things, that people went through during that time that was so difficult. And this was an opportunity with a stock where people can build a portfolio of wealth, where they can have the revenue share as an additional stream of income coming in while they're selling. And that flattens that curve, right? We know the cycle of real estate, whether you're talking about the seasonal cycles of the ups and downs in general of sales that can impact us in our markets, but also the market cycles that can happen. Like we're in one right now. And so when the truth of the matter is there are fewer transactions happening in this market than there were in the previous market, it doesn't mean you can't go out and get what you need. Okay. But it does mean that when it first impacts you, you're going to feel it until you adjust. And if you have thousands of dollars a month coming in, if your bills are covered, you don't have to make $500,000 a month in revenue share for it to be life-changing. If it pays your bills every month, if you have $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month coming in every month from revenue share, and you hit the market just tanked, and for 3 months nothing moved, but my bills were paid every month. That's massive, right? And then you have that as it continues to grow over time, and you're amassing stock over here as well. The goal is not to chase people out of selling houses. We're a real estate company. I'm not looking for people to stop selling, but I want you to be able to stop selling when you're ready, right? Whether you're going to get into leadership, you're going to get into coaching, you're going to retire, you're going to spend time with your grandkids, you're going to sail off into the sunset, or you just want to be involved a little bit less, okay, and not have that pressure. I want you to be able to do that, right? That's that freedom. Freedom is being able to make those choices without looking at your bank account first. All right. Make the choices about what you want to do with your life without having to check and get permission from your bank account. Right. That's huge. That to me is freedom. That to me is freedom. And so that's what we want to build. When I saw this model, I was like, that makes a ton of sense. Now, from a business ownership standpoint, when I knew about my P&Ls for all my offices, and I went, this frees up so much money. This frees up 60 to 80% of the expenses. No wonder we could give away 50% on revenue. We can give away, stock, millions of dollars. You saw the numbers, probably over $240 million given away last year in stock and revenue share. Most companies keep that. That's profit. We gave away $240 million and still one of the only real estate companies out there to post a profit for last year. I mean, it's mind-boggling, but it's proof of the model and how it works. So we can provide a platform for agents to go build wealth, build a great life, and get freedom. And at the same time, the company can be profitable so that you don't have to worry about it. We're reinvesting. If you look at the money being spent on additional leadership, staff, ideas, stuff for agents, all of the tools and technology, we're reinvesting all the time into those things. So the company can pour millions of dollars into reinvesting on tools and support for our agents, hire the right people and pay them the right amount so that they can support our agents, post a big profit. Oh, and by the way, we give away $242 million worth of stock and revenue share. Sean, I mean, that's why I'm here.
That's exactly right, Dave. That's exactly right. So, Chris, we're going to get to you in just 1 second. Just a real quick question for you. So you owned 11 offices. You were the CEO of essentially a region, right? Or a conglomerate of franchises. Now, here's one thing I learned. See, Gary Keller went on record about 7 years ago now at Family Reunion. And he said, eXp will never survive because you cannot base your revenue share distribution on gross profit. Organizations who do that, they ultimately go bankrupt. And he went on record saying that. That's why he said, that's why we do profit share. It's based on net operating profit. Now, what would you say to what Gary Keller had to say about that?
After I'm done laughing? So, there's two things I would say about that. Number one is Gary's argument was that we're giving too much to the agents, right? So, I mean, I love that being his argument. I mean, first of all, that shows his mindset. right? Is your mindset that you are, I don't know. I can't imagine a mindset of giving too much to the agents. The agents make the world go round for us. The agents do the work. So, I would give more to the agents if we could, right? I mean, Glenn's always looking at ways to give more to the agents. We're adding in all the other verticals that we add to a company. We're pouring profitability into the revenue share system to give more away. So we're not stopping here. We're like, hey, how do we find other ways to give money to agents? Right. So that's one.
That is the mindset, Dave. And that's
the mindset.
Main reasons that I'm here at eXp. And I'm sure many of you share the same thoughts. Now, one thing I learned about Keller Williams, because Dave, you know that I've coached many of the area directors, regional directors, team leaders, operating partners, agent leadership council members. I've been through the gambit with eXp, and I understand the model, or excuse me, with Keller Williams. I understand the model like the back of my hand. No, nothing against the model, nothing against Gary or anybody else. Yet here's what I learned. The average expense to run a Keller Williams market center, guys, it's about $140,000 per month. Now that's average across the board. Now they've got 883 market centers currently. Do the math. That's $1.5 billion in, just brick and mortar expense.
Yeah.
eXp does not have that. So you say, well, how could they give away 50% of the gross revenue gained through agent splits and cap contributions right back to people like you and I? Well, there's your answer, right? So if somebody asks you, is this sustainable? Your answer is undoubtedly yes.
So the brilliance, Sean, of this model, one of the things that I loved about the cap structure, right? When I was operating franchises, right? With the cap structure, I knew the production of our agents and I knew the amount that I was going to get. So when we did our forecasting, we could be very accurate with our forecasting. I knew the agents that I had. I knew the approximate production they were going to do. I knew when their anniversary date was. So I could map out on a spreadsheet the contributions I was going to get from them and which months they were going to contribute. And they typically, this person caps in 1 month, this person caps in 3, this person caps in 9, right, et cetera, right? And I could lay that out with their anniversary date, and I could show when I should be receiving, revenue. So we could map all that out, and then we could figure out how to spend, intelligently, right? We could be fiscally responsible and do all of that kind of stuff. And then we could make adjustments. And then whatever's left would be the profit share, but I could make sure that we were paying our bills. What's cool about this model is the exact same thing. When we say, hey, we're going to live off of 50%, well, we already know it up front. We know the production of our agents. We have a capping system. We have the exact same, concept from a cap model, right? And we know that we're going to get 50% off the top. So when we know that, we adjust our spending to make sure that it works with what we're expecting to get. It's called a budget, right? You know what's coming in. So there's no way for it not to work. The only way that I guess if you run your business like this, it might not work. But if you're looking, then you can be really intelligent about it. And what we can do now is make really good investments based on that money flow. And then the other flip side of it is, because we create such an incredible model for agents, we grow. We have no one on staff. How many team leaders and assistant team leaders, are at that other company? How many managers exist at other companies and everything else where their primary job is to recruit? We have zero paid staff for recruiting. I have a few people on my growth team. Their job is to support you all. Their job is not to go. They don't do lead generation. They're not out getting whatever. Their job is to help answer your questions, talk to your people, do whatever. They're there to support and teach you guys in your growth. So they are not out there to grow the company. They're out to help you guys grow your organizations, which helps us grow the company. We have no one on staff to recruit, and yet we're growing faster than any other company has ever grown in the history of the industry. So if that's the case, well, we all say agents vote with their feet. If we create the best program and opportunity, then we're going to grow the fastest. So on top of having fiscally responsible structure, when you compound where you're just constantly growing, we can already operate the company and make a profit off of what we had. We had another 20,000 agents this year. That's that much more that goes into both revenue share and revenue to the company.
That's exactly right. Now, also at other companies, they're doing things like cap management, right? Now, we both know, Dave, the reason of cap management is really to eliminate those really the peaks and valleys of revenue income, because profit share at Keller Williams is distributed monthly based on the previous month's profitability of that market center. So you wonder why, this agent at Keller Williams is on a 95-5 split, where the other agent is, 65-35. Well, the reason for that is because what they want to do is they want to do their very best to level the cash flow so that they don't have those peaks, because if they have a peak, that's what they have to do as an operating partner in that other company.
Yeah.
They have to share 51% of the net profit of the market center. So what they do is they eliminate the peak so that they can balance that out and reduce the amount of profit share that the operating partner has to contribute back to the agents.
Yeah. They're actually
That's my humble opinion of that model, right?
Yeah, well, they're actually taught to do it. And the other side of that is that, when you know your sales cycle and seasonality and everything else, and you know where your caps are and all of that, because they're not publicly traded and they do not have to follow GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, right? They don't have to follow the GAAP policies and structure for reporting their finances. You can actually, in a month where you have a lot of profit, you can take the expense that you would pay towards your facility, right? Your lease payment and all that other kind of stuff, and you can book that payment in an earlier month. So you could take your June, July month where you have high profitability, and I can take $15,000, $20,000 worth of rent and stick it in here. I can take a couple of other expenses and stick it in here, book it, not actually pay it, no cash flow, right? So difference between the P&L and your bank statements, right, is you're not your balance sheet, sorry, is you're not actually putting the money out, right? You're just booking the expense, but on paper it shows that you had less profit. So in those high months where you would normally pay out a ton of profit, you pay out less, right? And so that's a totally allowable way to smooth out profitability, so you don't pay out too much profit share, so that you keep as much profit in your pockets as an owner. And that's an acceptable way of doing things if you don't have to follow, GAAP principles and you're not publicly traded. That's
right. Kelly Russo, I agree with your comment. Loss carry forward, unfair to the agents, no doubt about that.
Yeah, don't even get me started on the LCF.
No doubt about it. Chris, you've been patient, buddy. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Ask your question. Give us your comment. Go ahead.
What's up, gentlemen? What's going on, Dave?
Hey, Chris.
When our quarterly earnings and year-end earnings come out, is the 240 million, I know not so much with the stock, but in terms of the revenue share that is paid back to the agents, are those numbers factored in? So in other words, when the company is looking, I know in terms of gross revenue, the money that they had given back to the agents would count in that. But when they're talking about, net profitability and stuff like that, does it account for in the earnings report that, all that money was given back to the agents? So when people say, oh, you guys are supposed to be so amazing, but you booked a loss in Q4, granted the loss was 7 million as opposed to 150 million, like the rest of them. But does that account for the fact that they only kept half the money? Had they kept all of the money like your brokerage is doing, we would have been wildly profitable as a company.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great question. So yeah, no, you're exactly right. When we're showing exactly what we have, there's the overall revenue that's generated, right? And that's the GCI, right? So we have GCI that's created, all the commission income that's created. Then we have the commission that's paid out to agents, which is our cost of sale, right? That's paid out to agents as your portion of commissions, whether you're 80% or 100% once you're capped. And then we have, unlike other companies, we have a whole nother level where also paid out is the revenue share, right? And that's paid out monthly too, and that's put into that. So at the end of the day, when we put that in there, that is after we've given all of that money. And keep in mind also, we have to book all of the stock that we give as an expense. So when we give away stock, that's why when we look, one of the big numbers to look at is our positive cash flow. Look at the positive cash flow, look at the cash on hand that's happening with the company. When you want to see how healthy the company is, you can see that number continued to increase. So we can post a $7 million loss and still have a ton of additional cash in the bank because that loss is largely on paper, right? So that the loss accounts for the stock that's paid out. And we also did a huge stock buyback, right? We did a massive buyback. And so when you put all of those things in play, those are all expenses that are on the books that you have to show that you did these things, but they don't always they don't always, account for actual losses, right? So in other companies that don't do those things, that don't give out stock and they don't give away the revenue, they're still posting losses.
Right. They're
Yet
just
they're keeping
losing money.
100% instead of 50%. And they're
Exactly.
not giving out millions of dollars. We gave out $42 million worth of stock, right? So for us to post an overall positive for the year, we posted a positive for the year while giving away $200 million worth of revenue that could have gone towards profitability and $42 million worth of stock that would have gone towards profitability, in addition to buying back a large amount of stock. And the reason we buy back that stock is to keep the value of the stock up, right? That keeps it from the dilution. And that we want our agents who have ownership in the company for it to have value, right? So I'm excited for the market to come roaring back, which at some point, God knows when, but at some point the market will come back. But remember, on the street, they saw our value between $75 and $100 a share. So think about the shares that you have and what you're getting right now. If the market comes back to, to that level or above, and as we continue to increase profitability and growth as a company, the opportunity is there. I don't have I don't have my magic 8 ball, but the opportunity is certainly there. They've already seen our value as being at that level. So think about the stock that you have. Think about, just do some math and do the calculations. If the stock goes back up to $100 a share, what that looks like for you, and then make sure you're doing the equity program.
Absolutely.
Boom. Thanks,
I
brother.
agree with that.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you, Dave. All right. So John Mendelson, over to you, my friend.
Hey, John.
Hey, I just wanted to make a comment. If anybody knows, a lot of people do know me on this call, that I am a spreadsheet nerd. I run models on everything. I'm not the smartest guy. In fact, I'm kind of a simple guy, but my Excel spreadsheets are not. And what I would say about profit share and why I didn't participate when I was with KW is because literally, like I posted in the chat, it is shrouded in more mystery than the Illuminati. If I cannot build a spreadsheet to show you what it's going to be, then nobody knows what it's going to be. And for me, being at a company that's just so simplistically transparent, I don't have to worry. It's the things that are not said that are the things you need to worry about. With eXp, here it is. 50% of what we make, we're going to set aside to give back to revenue share. That's changing so many people's lives. And Dave, you made a comment earlier, but $5,000 a month in passive income, I don't care who you are, that changes anybody's life, regardless of what you make, because that covers your normal expenses, your mortgage, things like that. There's no other company that is offering to just, hey, help us grow and we'll just make sure we take care of you forever. So everybody knows that I am super, I bleed the eXp. It's not because it's some Kool-Aid I drank. It's because the model is simple, effective, and transparent. And frankly, it's good for everybody. So that's just my thoughts on it. If I can't build a spreadsheet to show you profit share, trust me, nobody can. And I've tried. I've built some gnarly spreadsheets trying to figure it out. It's impossible.
It'll make your head hurt. That's for sure.
If you have to make something so complicated that people can't figure it out, it's because you don't want them to figure it out.
Well, I've also said that the surprise of Christmas morning is a lot of fun, but I don't want to run my business that way, right? I don't want to wake up on revenue share day and go, oh, hey, look what I got, right? That's not running a business. And so I love the fact that we do the back office with my eXp and all of the numbers, and you can go through and you can actually run it like a business, like your sales business, like you should. You can track it, you can have structure to it. And, one of the things that I, am doing as much as I can as far as teaching is the strategy. One of my favorite sayings is, it's been attributed to Picasso. I don't know if it's his or not, but it's learn the rules like a pro so you can break them like an artist, right? And it's one of my favorite quotes. And it's not about breaking the rules, right? It's not about, doing it the wrong way. The point is, when you know the rules, you can play the game by the rules. That's how business works. And if you know the structure and you know how it works, if you know what attracts agents, then you can do those things. If you know, who you need to be, if you can be strategic about who you're talking to, then you can build an organization that gets you to the amount that you want to get to from a financial standpoint. But you have to understand how it works. You have to be a student of the game. So I love the spreadsheets. So learn it, learn eXp, learn how eXp works, learn all the opportunities at eXp, learn how revenue share works, learn how the equity program works and all of those things, and then build a business around it that funds where you want to go.
Well, and treat it like a business, you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, this revenue share is not something that you should just do whenever you have time or whenever you think about it. Right now, build a real business around revenue share development. How many of you guys have a business plan to build revenue share? All right, I see a few hands up. I love that. Yet if you are lacking a business plan, just recognize if you fail to plan, you plan to what? To fail.
Fail.
That. So, Dave, I'm going to go back to you. I want to talk about specific strategy that you've engaged with in the past to build your revenue share organization here at eXp. And how did you do it? Let's say you identify somebody who you think could be a great fit for your organization, somebody that has made your hunt list. How do you approach them? What do you say?
Okay. I love that. So I'm going to try to do this as succinctly as possible. So I approach this in the same way that I approach building all the businesses that I've built over the years. And I teach this too. I have a class that I call Mindshare, and it goes into branding and marketing strategy. And it goes through understanding your core values. So there's a whole lot into it to really understand first who you are and what you have to offer to the world, right? Why people will follow you because of your values. When you put out there, this is who I am, and this is what makes me unique, and this is why that matters to you, right? This is what I can do because of being that person with my mindset and my heartbeat and my skill set. This is what I have to offer you, and you're going to find people who are interested in receiving what you have to offer, who want to be in business with you. So when I came here, I first came here not as a staff. I didn't come, with a role, right? I told you, I believed in the model. I believed in the company. I joined as an agent to help grow the company for revenue share because I believe this was the high growth company to come. And so I created a group, and I call it FIRE, FYR, which stands for Fund Your Reason. And for me, I've been blessed in the real estate industry to be able to utilize this industry to build businesses and build wealth. And, I wanted to help other people use the industry and use the model of eXp to build wealth, but not wealth for wealth's sake, right? I want them to, you've heard it called your big why or your why, and Simon Sinek and all of that, and talks about your why, and finding your why. I call it your reason, right? What's your reason? And then it could be, there's all different kinds of things, right? But what is that reason? What does that wealth coming in, that financial freedom to do the things that you want to do, and to say, hey, I would love to help that organization. I would love to go help those people. I want to be able to do this for my kids or my grandkids or my spouse or my friends or whatever it is, right? And I want to go do those things. I never want to have to say, but I don't have the money to, or I can't because I have to work because I need the money, so I can't go do those things. Whatever, right? It's the freedom to go make the choices you want to make and do the things you want to do without having to get permission from your bank account. So that's understanding your reason. So really formulating around who you are and what you have to offer and what's important to you and how you who are you going to run with? If you want to surround yourself with people on the same mission with you, what mission are you on? Right? You have to know that. And then you surround yourself with those people. And in order to surround yourself with those people, you have to put it out there that this is who I am and this is where I'm going. Who's with me? And they come with you, right? And I have a passion for helping you build a great life, build a great business, right? And I have the knowledge and experience to show you how to go do that. Does that sound good? Do you want to build a great life? Do you want to have that kind of freedom that I'm talking about? Well, what if I could share with you the skills, the knowledge, the habits, right? Cash. Like if I could share all of those things with you to help you go build that success for yourself, would that be of interest to you? What if we could go do it together and link arms and support each other along the way? And as we're going, it's like blob tag in preschool or whatever. You run around and we're gonna grab other people who are on the same mission, who have that same heartbeat, and we're gonna go do this together. Pretty soon we're gonna be this massive army of people who are all on the same mission, that are helping each other out, that have a vested interest in each other's success. How does that sound to you? Right. And so that's really what it's about. So from a building standpoint, from getting yourself out there and finding your people, right? A lot of times we're like, who should I call? And I have this one friend that I'm thinking I should hey, have you thought about, maybe eXp? and that kind of stuff. Not that that can't work, but you have to have a compelling reason why, that they're like changing real estate companies. If they're unhappy where they are, I can go into all the psychology of making people change. But to me, it's like going into a neighborhood of 300 homes, trying to get listings and door knocking and saying, hey, you should move. Your house is ugly. There's a better house over here, right? Interest rates are low. Yeah, you got a high interest rate on your house. You can go over here and do whatever. Like, you're trying to talk people into moving who aren't interested in moving. You may find a few who go, oh, I haven't thought about that. Yeah, maybe. But most are going to go, I'm happy where I am, which is one of the most common objections you probably hear from people is I'm happy where I am. And then you don't want to go finding unhappy people, because that like you're going to surround yourself with a bunch of depressed people, and that's not fun either. Right. So what you have to do is inspire people. You have to inspire people with a vision, and then you put it out there. And you will find people that want that too. And then if you want that, it has nothing to do with whatever logo is on your business card. It has to do with, are you with the people and in the place that allow you to achieve that opportunity that you want in the best way and in the fastest way? That's what it is. But you have to know what that is. You have to define it for people to be able to follow it. So that's really key. And then from a structural standpoint, I would say there's a couple of things just like strategically to build. Right? You have to get all of your levels unlocked to maximize payout. Now, depending on where you are, you're all, and I see some people on here that have some big organizations, and I know there's some of you that are probably brand new to this. Okay, depending on where you are, but let's say you're starting today. If you're starting today, you're not probably going to have people in all 7 levels tomorrow, right? So it's not critical to have you don't need 40 FLQAs today to have everything unlocked. What you need to do, I would go speed to 10. I would think about getting 10 people. So I've got levels 1, of course, level 1, you get full payout all the time. I get level 2 and level 3 that I know I can fill, because if I bring on someone great, okay, and they bring a group of people with like maybe their team with them, that's level 1 and level 2 already. Those people on level 2 that are closing deals, I'm not getting paid the maximum amount on that. So you can pretty much at least 5 and then quickly get up to 10 to get that done. And then from there, I'm going to put myself on a steady diet of adding people on my front line that are producing agents that will be FLQAs on a kind of a path of maybe I'm getting, again, depending on your growth pace and how much time you can put into it. Maybe you're getting 1 a month, 2 a month, maybe you're getting 1 a quarter, right? Maybe you're going for 2 a year. You have to look at your plan, and your plan is for you. So don't worry about what anyone else is doing. This is funding your life. So then you're going to get on that path of going through. It's like, I'm going to jump to 5. I'm going to get 5 as fast. I'm going to look for 5 people on the same mission as me, right? And then I'm going to get on this path to get the rest of the people in, right? The other thing you need to do is you need to look for other leaders. You need to look for other builders, because there are no large organizations with people receiving a ton of revenue share who did it all themselves. It doesn't exist. And so every single one of them, look at Gene, okay? You look at Gene's front line. Gene doesn't have 50 builders on his front line. He's got a handful. He's got a few builders on his front line. Okay. You look at Brent. Brent has a few builders on his front line. Okay. And then those builders, when we look at this and you say, all right, each builder will probably have the ability to impact and bring in roughly 5 additional builders. Okay. This is someone who's, kind of a different animal than you're like the agent who's mostly focused on sales and that kind of stuff. So if they have 5, but think about each of those having, it's like the rocks that you throw into the pond where they create a ripple. Okay. And so that's really, to me, is the structure. When you look at it, I would say you need producing agents surrounding you on your front line. Okay. And you're on a path to build those out. Okay. But you don't need to go get 75 or 100 of them. You don't even worry about going out and getting 20. Okay. Just work on getting 5. Okay. And then work towards your next 5. And then from there, you're working on onesie, twosie, right? That's okay. And then you're identifying who are some people who are well-placed and have a desire to be involved in growth. Because 80 to 90+% of the agents you talk to aren't that interested in it. Right? You're not leading with it. We're a real estate company. 80% plus of the agents here aren't even getting revenue share. Okay. So they came here because we're a great place for them to build their real estate sales business. So you're not leading with that. You're leading with this is an incredible place for them and for their business. And then but you're going to identify some of those people that are well placed who have an incredible opportunity to take advantage of the revenue share, and what might be a leader. And you're finding just a few of those people. You're not going to get that many because there aren't that many out there, to be honest, right? It's a rarer breed. It's probably 2%, maybe less of the industry. And you're going to find those people, and you're going to get a couple of them in there, and they're going to go off and build your organization. And that's really the structure and the way that you're doing it from a strategy standpoint.
I mean, I look at my revenue share organization. There's one bright spot, one general who's gone out there and crushed it, who is responsible for 70% of the size of my RevShare organization. Then I look at his RevShare group. There's one person who's responsible for 75% of his organization. And I look at his organization, and 75%, there's one person. So I've never believed it more firmly than I do today, you guys. If your organization isn't where it could be or should be, you're simply missing a key relationship. That's it.
You're one person away. You're always one person away.
Just one person away, no doubt about that. All right, Dave, thank you so much for your investment of time. We've got a couple of questions. Let's open it to Q&A. Are you okay on time, Dave?
I'm good. Yeah.
Love it. All right, John Mendelson, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw out there because I put it in the chat. So again, spreadsheet nerd model guy here. I use a model that I call the 15 2-in-1 model. It is 15 cap. So first of all, I never recruit a non-capping agent ever. It's just they don't even hit my list. But 15 capping agents in line one using tap routing to get contacts that they know. And so yeah, 15 in line one. Taproot 2 for each one of those in line 2. That's 30 in line 2. Rinse and repeat, but you only need 1 for each of the 30 in line 2 to go into line 3. So you've got 15, 30, and 30. It's 75 agents. The distribution with the payout is $26.67 per agent. It's $198,000 worth of income. Total of 75 agents. The core of that is build the foundation with agents that are producing agents. You wouldn't build the foundation of your house with, I don't know, sticks and stones or whatever. But the 15 2-in-1 model will get you $198,000 of income. That will change anybody's life forever. Let's say you mess up and you only get half of it. It's $100,000. Again, it's just about building the foundation to start. So I'm not to counter what you were saying, Dave. I think that goes along with it, but that's a model that I use for sure.
Yep.
Love it, John. By the way, you can learn more about John's methodology. Just go to RevShareBuilders.com. He's got a great coaching and training program that will undoubtedly get you into action. Now, maybe before you do that, you might consider engaging in our Attraction in Action program. Guys, it's 5 sessions, 90 minutes in duration. If you're with our Libertas organization, of course, you get to take that free of charge as many times as you want. So I encourage you to make that happen. Yet, if you're not with Libertas, well, there's an opportunity for you to improve your knowledge, skills, mindset, and habits, and really get out there and crush revenue. By the way, if you maybe want some help and you want to engage Icon Coaching to not only build your sales business, yet your agent attraction, your strategies, your methodology, engage in a free coaching session with Paul Helen. Paul's live on the call today. Paul, if you could maybe put your scheduling link up there, they could just jump on a quick call with you, talk about what it might look like. So Dave, I appreciate your time more than you know. If you have a question, raise your hand. Yet if you don't, Dave, just what are your final thoughts, your words of wisdom, parting thoughts? Take it away.
All right. So, in keeping this theme on the revenue share side of things and the growth side of things, I would encourage you guys to, I guess first and foremost, don't get discouraged, right? It's easy to kind of look at some of the big numbers and do whatever. And, I refer to the bleeding edge, back just a couple of years ago, we had 400 agents in the company. And, it was an exciting day when we added 20 people a month to the company, the entire company, right? And so it's slowly and then suddenly, right? And it catches. And so it may feel like you're pushing a boulder up a hill at first, right? But the weight of the boulder will start to get less and less. And pretty soon you're going to feel it moving on its own, right? And you realize that you've made it over the peak of the hill. And now it's rolling downhill and you couldn't stop it if you wanted to. And it will happen, but you have to, if you take if you stop, the boulder will run you over going backwards. So, just keep going. Don't get frustrated if things aren't happening right away. And I would encourage you just to focus on helping people. Because here's the thing, if you focus on helping people succeed and you help one person succeed and live a great life, then that's pretty rewarding and it's pretty exciting. It's not about the dollars, right? And just keep on that. The dollars will come, right? And I helped a lot of people who didn't end up joining, right? I sat and met with agents, right? I did over 80,000 cold calls to agents to do recruiting. I did over 8,000 one-on-one appointments to talk with agents about them joining my company, over 8,000 appointments. They did not all join. I was about 27% conversion rate from my one-on-one appointments. And so a lot of those other people that didn't join, I took them down their path and their journey and consulted them on their business. And they went off and did great things without me. And that's great. It was awesome. I love, and I'm still friends with so many of those people. They're like, hey, check out what's happening with my business. And I celebrate their successes, even though it didn't come back to me financially, because it came back to me emotionally. And that charges me up to go help more people. And eventually, like I said, you help enough people, it does all come back to you. And so put your focus on helping people and less on your financial outcome. And you're like, just don't even look at the financial outcome right now. Just look at how am I helping people, go out and help people. And then in a little while, go back and look at your account and go, whoa, it got bigger, right?
That's a fun, whoa, I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
What you said, Dave, reminds me of what my grandfather taught me so many years ago. He said this, he said, give to others without ever remembering and receive from others without ever forgetting.
Love that.
It's so powerful, Dave. And when you approach your RevShare development, just like Dave's talking about, guys, you can't go wrong. There's no regret in approaching it like that. Dave, thank you so much for just pouring into all of us, man.
Thanks for letting me hang out. It's good to see everybody.
I owe you a debt of gratitude, my friend. Anything I can do for you, your organization, fire, I am right there, bud. So please let me know. Until we talk again next week, guys, just be on purpose, be productive, be powerful. See you all then. Bye-bye.
Appreciate you. Thanks for everything you're doing.
Thanks a lot.